Hello everyone, welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is The Cloaked Traveler. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. If you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get into this nightmare. Lightning flashed through the sky, splitting it in two. The subsequent thunder boomed out, deafening the unprepared. Through the dark gray, billowing storm clouds, one could barely make out a waning crescent moon, doing its best to penetrate the cloudy blanket below it with its light. The streets of Lindenberg, slick with rain, had its cobblestones illuminated by the bright oil lamps hoisted by wrought iron poles. The normal clops of equestrian hoofs were absent, and would have been drowned out by the heavy raindrops splashing against the storefronts that line Main Street. Despite this torrential downpour, on a narrow and secluded alleyway that intersects with the typical busy roadways, a lone carriage lies. Huddled against this humble carriage, soaked by the rain, was a cloaked figure. I'm not normally one to walk the streets during the night, but a violent outburst from the missus prompted me to seek shelter elsewhere. I figured I could quickly make my way across town to my brother's place in Upper Lindenberg. Certainly, he wouldn't turn me away for a night. After all, this isn't the first time that I've had to do this. My rushed footsteps clattered on the slick cobblestones as I hurried between any overhangs I could find. Every now and then, I would lose my footing as my foot found either a loose stone or a partially wet spot on the road. Each time, I would catch myself and continue on my way. However, once I found a stone that was not only significantly looser than its predecessors, but wetter and slicker than ice, my leg was swept out from under me as I tumbled to the ground fully this time. Feeling shaken and defeated, I sat on the side of the road for minutes, each raindrop slapping my drooped head. That's when I heard the cry. Someone, anyone, please help me. My head whipped upwards, looking around to locate where the cries for help were coming from. I had nearly given up until I heard the voice once more. I quickly turned my head once more towards the voice until my eyes landed on a dark alleyway. Once the realization set in, my heart skipped a beat, and I froze. A distressed cry for help coming from a dark alley in the middle of the night had all the markings for a trap. I put my hands on my knees and slowly pushed myself up until I was standing upright. I stared at the alleyway for an eternity and waited to see if the voice would call out once more, or if my mind was simply playing tricks on me. Then the voice spoke once more. Please help me. I know you're out there. Upon hearing the foreboding words, a sharp chill ran through my spine. Was that directed at me? The overwhelming feeling of curiosity fiercely battled the intense urge to run as fast as I could back home to my disgruntled wife. After a minute of combative deliberation, the curiosity won, and I attempted to go towards the disembodied voice. Each step I took felt as if I'd submerged my lower legs in a deep, swampy mud. Finally, I had reached the alley and peered inside. Even with the rain obscuring my vision, I could make out a covered carriage slumped forwards. Beside the carriage was a dark silhouette curled up underneath the wagon. I very tentatively called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" A frightened voice called back through the rain, "Yes, please come help me. My carriage had one of its wheels fall off, and my horses were spooked and took off. I cautiously approached the silhouette, eyeing its every move. As I got closer, the silhouette became a cloak, black as the midnight sky that loomed above us. Once I stood in front of the cloaked figure, two pale white hands reached up and slipped the hood around the figure's neck. The figure revealed himself to be an older man with pale white skin. His gaunt face was like a book, with each wrinkle telling a story of pain, suffering, and struggle. One bony hand reached up as he spoke. "Please help me. I am not sure if I can stand on my own," the haggard man said, with a clear voice unbefitting of a frail man such as himself. I grasped his hand and helped pull him to his feet. He stood about a head shorter than me, and I'm not very tall myself. Not letting go of my hand, he looks up into my eyes and says, "Thank you, sir, for helping me in my time of need. My name is Tremaine, and I was on my way through town to visit an old friend of mine, who I hadn't seen in forever. Suddenly, my wheel broke off in the middle of the street, and my horses freaked out. The rest is history, but please, may we get out of this awful rain?" I graciously agreed, the old man's cool demeanor putting me at ease. That is, until he chuckled and spoke once more. I suspected I was a victim of witchcraft or some voodoo magic. I may or may not have made some enemies in my life, he says, turning away with another giggle. "Can you walk me to my friend's place? It isn't very far from here." He looks back at me, and without waiting for a response, begins to make his way down the empty main street. I sigh and walk after him. We walked together for about a half an hour until we reached a brightly lit house at the corner of Main Street and LaBelle Road. As I look up at it, my heart catches in my throat when the realization sets in. The old man had walked me right to my brother's home. Sensing my hesitation, he chuckles once more, turns to me and says, "Oh, young Bruno has been an acquaintance of mine for many years now. He and I had gotten into all sorts of shenanigans when we were younger. Do you know him?" I gulped and managed to utter, "Yeah, he's my brother." "Well, isn't that a pleasant surprise?" he exclaims, his eyes lighting up. Since I was already on my way to stay at my brother's, I walked past the old man and up to my brother's front door. I used the brass knocker on his door, letting 3 solid knocks ring out into the night. The door creaks open, and my brother's face appears out. "Stephen, is that you? Kicked out again?" he says with a hearty laugh, opening the door wider. "Yeah, Bruno, I did. On my way here, I ran across someone you may know." "Well, in that case, come in. Get out of the horrid rain," he says, his iconically boastful smile glowing. As I entered the house, the old man began to chuckle. The chuckle then escalated to a deep laugh. Bruno and I turned around to see the old man step inside the doorway. With each step he took into the house, he stood more upright. His small stature expanded into a stronger, fitter build. Soon he was towering above both Bruno and me. "That was much easier than I expected. I cannot believe you fell for that sob story. Thank you for inviting me into your wonderful house. We have a lot of catching up to do, Bruno." With that, his mouth turned into a large milky white smile, revealing 2 sharp canine teeth. "Let's get started, shall we?" It felt like my brother's screams chased me all the way back to my home, where I would gladly face the wrath of my wife over what my brother was experiencing. The end. That was The Cloaked Traveler. If you ended up enjoying this story, please leave a like. I hope you all have had a great day, and have a good night.